So how can you distill the why and what of your organization? It's a challenge facing employer branders and TA people every single day. And we certainly know that AI has a role to play as a co-pilot. So in this episode, I'm just going to do a little AI experiment to see how you can do that. Now, you may have heard of Google Notebook LM, and that's pitched as being a AI research assistant where you can feed it information and then it can digest that information from you, and then it can then create content for you. Now, considering how early stages we still are in this whole AI journey, it's pretty impressive. So I fed information about my business, Content Marketing Pod, put my website in, shared my YouTube channel for my employer content marketing podcast, and yeah, saw what came back and had this option of actually creating a podcast episode. So we have, albeit slightly cheesy American voices, let's call them Pia and Ben, chatting about my business, and yeah, it's pretty good and it's pretty accurate. So if you're interested in finding out about how it sounds, but also about my business's why and what, then take a look at this episode. Let's get on with the chat.
Okay, so you know how it is, right? You're always trying to find like the good stuff among all the noise online.
Yeah, totally. It's like sifting through a million blog posts just to find one good idea.
Right. Especially when you're trying to figure out how to bring the best people to your organization, you know? That's customers and investors too, not just employees.
I mean, everyone wants to build a great team and connect with the right people. It's super competitive out there.
And that is exactly what we're going to deep dive into today.
Okay, awesome. What's on the docket?
We're looking at employer content marketing and how to use it to really stand out.
Interesting.
Yeah, we've got some really cool stuff from Content Marketing Pod Ltd.
Oh yeah, I've heard them.
And also some insights from Chris Lake and Harwood's Substack.
Nice. Should be a good combo.
Yeah, I think so. We're basically getting like a concentrated look at this one company that seems to really get this whole employer content thing.
So we can learn from their experience, basically.
Exactly.
And what are we hoping to get out of all this?
Okay, so our mission today is to understand how to take your organization's culture, you know, the stuff that makes your company unique, and the knowledge that your employees have, and turn all of that into content that actually gives you a strategic advantage.
Okay, I like it. I'm already intrigued. This isn't just about getting more applicants right.
No, not at all. It's about so much more than just recruitment. It can affect your whole business.
Yeah, for sure. When you start thinking about content coming from your employees, it just opens up so many possibilities. It's not just about filling a position. It's about getting the right customers and partners and really building your reputation.
Exactly. Okay, so before we get too deep into this, let's start with the basics. What exactly is employer content marketing? What does it actually mean based on what we've been reading?
So at its core, it's all about sharing the knowledge and experiences of your employees,
Okay.
like the things they know and the things they do every day, and even their personal stories.
Mm.
Content Marketing Pod Ltd. actually describes it as making your workplace culture generate compelling content.
Yeah, that's good. Compelling content. But they also go beyond just attracting employees, right?
Yeah, definitely. They talk about how by showing off your team's talent, you'll also attract the right kinds of customers and clients and even investors.
I mean, it makes sense. People trust people, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Authenticity goes a long way. And when people see real people sharing their knowledge, it builds credibility.
Okay, so that all makes sense in theory, but anyone who's ever tried to create content knows that it's hard to do it consistently and make it actually effective.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And the sources we're looking at actually highlight that as a major challenge. Like, how do you go from creating random content to making it a consistent part of your business strategy?
Especially when most companies don't have unlimited resources to throw at this.
Right, like time and budget and people. It can be a real struggle.
So how does Content Marketing Pod Ltd. approach this? What's their philosophy?
Well, first of all, they have over 20 years of experience in this area.
Wow.
They've worked in employer branding, education, and even consumer marketing.
So they've got a pretty broad perspective.
Yeah, and I think that's super valuable because they understand what works with different types of audiences, not just people looking for jobs.
Makes sense. And what kind of services do they actually offer?
So they do a whole range of things. They offer coaching to help companies build their own internal content creation skills.
Okay.
They also do consulting, where they provide strategic guidance and direction.
So they help companies figure out what kind of content to create and how to create it.
Exactly. And then they even offer full content production services for companies that want to outsource the whole thing.
So they can basically handle everything from coming up with ideas to creating the final product.
Yep. And they work with all kinds of different content formats too, which I think is really cool.
Like what?
Well, they do podcasts and vidcasts, of course, because those are so important these days.
Mm-hmm.
But they also do employee interviews and even documentaries to capture those authentic employee stories.
So it's not just about the company talking about itself, it's about letting the employees tell their stories.
Exactly. And they also do a lot of work with employee advocacy content, which is all about helping employees share their expertise and insights with a wider audience.
So it's like leveraging the power of your employees' networks to get your message out there.
Right. And they have this really interesting concept called employee-powered content, which they actually see as a potential revenue generator.
Oh, wow. How does that work?
So the idea is that when employees are sharing their knowledge and insights, it builds trust and credibility with potential customers.
Okay.
And that can lead to people choosing your product or service or wanting to partner with your company because they see you as a thought leader in your industry.
That makes sense. It's like if someone on your team writes a really helpful blog post that solves a problem for other people in their field.
Yeah, exactly. It not only attracts other talented people to your company, but it also shows potential customers that you know what you're talking about.
So it's not just about filling a job, it's about building your reputation and attracting the right kinds of people to your business.
Right. And they offer different ways for organizations to work with them too, depending on their needs and resources.
So it's not one size fits all.
Nope. They have 3 main partnership models.
Okay.
The first one is all about building internal capabilities. So it's focused on coaching and training to help your team create content themselves.
So you become self-sufficient, basically.
Yeah. The second model is called the Employer Content Coach, and that's for companies that are already creating content but maybe need some guidance and direction.
So it's like having an expert on call to help you make sure you're on the right track.
Exactly. And then the third model is the Employer Content Studio, where Content Marketing Pod Ltd. Basically handles the whole content production process for you.
So that's for companies that maybe don't have the time or resources to do it themselves.
Sick.
And it seems like strategy is a really big part of what they do. They even offer something called an employer content marketing audit. What is that exactly?
So the audit is basically a way to get a really objective assessment of your current content marketing efforts. They look at what you're doing on social media and your career site, and they give you a critique of what's working and what's not.
So it's like a checkup for your content.
Yeah. And they also compare your content to 3 of your main competitors.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so you can see how you stack up and where you might have some opportunities to differentiate yourself.
So you're not just looking at your content in a vacuum, you're seeing how it compares to what other companies are doing.
Exactly. And at the end of the audit, you get something called a Kickstarter content strategy, which includes 12 months worth of content ideas.
Wow, a whole year's worth of ideas.
Yeah, so you don't have to start from scratch every month.
That's super helpful.
And they have some great testimonials from people who've worked with them too.
Oh yeah, like who?
Well, there's Rowan Marriott, the founder of AudienceLink. He talks about how they won multiple awards for content productions that Content Marketing Pod Ltd. Helped them create.
So their strategies actually get results.
Yeah. And then there's Connor Cotton, the MD of Not Going to Uni. He talks about how he's worked with them on a wide range of projects, which shows how versatile they are.
Yeah, they can clearly adapt to different needs and goals.
Right. And then there's Nick Francis, the co-founder of Casual Films. He really emphasizes the importance of video content and having a cohesive strategy to make the most of your budget.
And they seem to walk the walk too, right? Like they've won some pretty impressive awards themselves.
Yeah, they have. They won the Recruitment Marketing Awards for audio in 2023 and 2024.
Wow, back to back.
The judges actually praised them for reaching over 24 million people with their content.
That's a lot of people.
And they were also really impressed with the volume of high-quality videos that Content Marketing Pod Ltd. Was producing.
So they're not just talking about video, they're actually doing it.
Yeah, and they also won a Silver Lens Award in 2025 for their work in the public sector. The judges specifically highlighted their strong strategy and the extensive amount of content they created.
So it's not just about individual pieces of content, it's about having a comprehensive plan and executing it consistently.
Right. And they actually won a Recruitment Marketing Award for content marketing back in 2021 as well.
So they've been recognized for their expertise over a number of years.
Yeah, for sure. So if any of our listeners are thinking this sounds like something they want to explore further, who should they reach out to?
Based on everything we've seen, the key person seems to be Chris Harwood.
Okay, yeah, Chris's name keeps coming up.
He's like the mastermind behind Content Marketing Pod Ltd's approach, and he's also the one behind the Substack.
Which sounds like a great resource, by the way.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to check it out. It's basically a platform where Chris has conversations with all sorts of experts about using content marketing to attract and retain talent.
It's like a behind-the-scenes look at how some of the best people in the industry are thinking about this stuff.
And there's one quote in the material that really stood out to me. It says, "What Chris doesn't know about employer content isn't worth knowing."
Wow, that's high praise.
Yeah, it sounds like he really knows his stuff. So before we wrap up, what would you say are the key takeaways from all of this for our listeners?
I'd say there are three main things to remember. First, the power of employee-generated content is huge. Like, it can really make a difference for your organization if you tap into your employees' knowledge and experiences.
And that makes sense, right? People want to hear from real people.
Totally. The second thing is that you absolutely need a strategy. You can't just create content randomly and hope it works. You need a plan.
And the audit seems like a great way to get started with that.
Yeah, for sure. And then the third thing is that employer content marketing isn't just about recruitment. It could have a much broader impact on your business.
It's about attracting the right customers and partners and building your reputation as a leader in your industry.
Exactly.
This has been a really fascinating look at how to turn something that already exists within your company, your employees' expertise, into a powerful marketing asset.
Yeah. I think the key is to shift your mindset from thinking about content as something you have to create to thinking about it as something you already have. You just need to find the right way to share it.
So here's a final thought for everyone listening. Take a minute and think about your own organization. What are some of the stories and the knowledge that your employees have that could be shared with the world?
Yeah, what are those hidden gems that are just waiting to be discovered?
And how could sharing those stories not only help you attract amazing talent, but also connect with the right customers and partners? Start thinking about your employees' expertise as an untapped marketing goldmine.
It's like having a secret weapon that you're not even using.
So go out there and unleash it.
I love it.
Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
This is great. Thanks for having me.
Until next time.
See ya.